Hi there, I'm John Booth. I'm an artist based in London, working across a mixture of different mediums, ceramics, drawing and textile and design related projects. But everything I do starts with drawing, so that's why I'm really keen on discussing my drawing techniques. So for today's workshop, we're going to use a mixture of different materials. We've got felt tip pens, various thicknesses, some pencil crayons in colours that I really like. Obviously you can see my colour palette is really bright, so that's something to think about. But obviously use any colours that you like. I like using water-based inks, and I've got acrylic paints as well. Another thing to think about is if a mixture of different types of paintbrushes. So I've got square tipped ones and pointed tip brushes, because they can give a different feel to the work. Well, there's also going to be a collage element, so something that I like to do is keep colours and textures on cut pieces of paper, because you can always reuse them in your work. So I reuse coloured pieces of paper that I've created over time. It's really nice to keep them. But obviously you can use pre-bought coloured paper as well, or newspaper or photographic images. So I've set up a composition of objects for the workshop today that I'll be drawing from. I've chosen some objects that I've made and some obviously found objects and some second-hand things, and basically it's a mixture of colours and textures to create a composition that would be interesting to draw. So when you're making your composition, choose things that will essentially be fun to draw and that have different surface qualities, like matte things or shiny things. It's also nice to choose things that you have a connection to, so if you have a personal connection to the object, that could be really nice. Okay, so let's start our drawing. So hopefully you'll find that when you're drawing your composition, that you're spending a lot of time looking at it. So as much as you're looking at your page, you're also looking at what you're drawing. And you can see already that I'm trying to do sort of continuous line drawing. So the quality of the line is looking really sort of confident. So as long as it looks confident, it's not even about it being perfectly accurate. It's more about it being confident, I think. So already you can see that I've changed the pen that I'm drawing with. This is just more for stylistic reasons, just to make it look as interesting as possible. Because even I get really tempted to always use the same coloured pen, especially when you're doing outline work, but doing this is a really simple way of adding some interest really early on to the drawing. So I'm going to use a coloured crayon, a pencil crayon now, to do some of the outline. Because it's important to, again, use different materials to do the outlines, and not all of it has to be in an ink pen. It could be really nice to use a pencil crayon for outlines. So you can see I'm constantly referring to the composition in front of me. I'm trying to get it down. Don't spend too long trying to get the composition down, because you want to work, I think it's quite nice to work quite quick and keep the energy in the drawing. Okay, so we've done our outline and we've used a mixture of materials, and I think already it's looking quite interesting. And now we're going to start using the other materials to sort of fill in and add the colour and texture. So straight away I'm going to use the yellow ink. And the same principle as when we were drawing the outline. You can be really loose and abstract with this. And we're trying to sort of capture energy and sort of colour and texture in this. It's not even about representing the colours exactly as they appear in front of you. It's quite nice to sort of to play around with that. So I'm using some of the acrylic paint. Some more inks. So using the wet materials is a really good way to block in colour and texture in the drawing. Once you've blocked enough of the drawing in that you want to use, if you're using the inks and the pens, it's good to use the collage sections that we've spoke about earlier. So using the coloured paper and tearing it is a really nice way to keep texture in the drawing. So before you stick them down, it's quite nice to place them, then you can always change your mind about where they are. So a lot of these were pre-made textures and colours that I had from previous projects. So it's really good to keep things like this because you can always reuse things. And even working with pre-made shapes is a really nice way to add a sort of unusual sort of aspect to the work. So you can see we're still building this up. This is a point now where you can do your sort of last touches to the work. I haven't used too much black on this, but I think it's quite good to use a little bit of black to go in and add any defining sort of definition to areas that you want to. Okay, I'm going to stop working on that. I think that one's finished. So that's my finished piece. Hope you enjoy the workshop.